Hello, sound check. Hello. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, very good.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Um, my name is Dr. Word Smith, and I will be giving our class today for ACI Course 10, class number 8, which is the Bodhisattva's Way of Life by the incomparable Master Shantideva, a commentary translated by Gelpsubje, and or commented on by Geshe and translated by my teacher, Geshe Michael Roach.
Good
Thank
morning.
you.
Sorry to interrupt you. Just want to say hi.
Oh, I didn't know you were there.
Yeah,
Hi, Tim.
guys, welcome Wordsmith. I just wanted to, I'm so excited to have a guest teacher today. That's all.
Thank you so
Cool.
much for having me, Tim. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Word, for teaching today. Enjoy, everyone.
Your hair looks great.
Good morning.
Yeah, this is amazing. I really appreciate Tim's invitation to teach today. I I took this course um 12 years ago uh in my friend's living room online before maybe 13 years ago. I don't know. Before I before I even met Geshe. So um all I had then was recordings, and they were very powerful to me. They were very significant, and they helped me quite a bit. Uh, and I used what they told me in these courses, in those recordings, to get out of a very difficult situation that I was in. And then I used them again to meet Geshe, and then I used them to become a translator. And I'm using them to become a better translator, um, through seed planting and various other practices and insights in these books. So you're already more than halfway through the course, but I just want to say some beautiful words about Master Shantideva as well. He is a philosopher, practitioner, beyond um, our grandest estimations. He's he's renowned throughout the world. He's so well known that people don't know his name anymore. Was at someone's house and I saw a magnet on their fridge, and it was a Master Shantideva quote, and it just said Indian proverb, meaning he's so famous people don't even know his name anymore. Um, in our country, in the United States, it's like Benjamin Franklin or something. He said all these amazing things that people don't even know he said, but they know the words. So Master Shantideva is just that, a deva, a god. Oh, am I going too slow? I'm too fast? I thought I was going slow. This is slow for me. I'll go even slower. Um, Master Shantideva is a deva, a god, amongst practitioners, amongst beings. And I'm very grateful for his words and his work. And we're going to talk about the Bodhisattva's way of life. So, the section of the Bodhisattva's way of life that we're discussing today is part two of the two parts on the mental afflictions. And I remember first listening to this class. For some reason, it was very exciting to me. I think because I've had so many horrible mental afflictions throughout my life, it was really beautiful to hear someone talking about them explicitly and speaking about ways to solve them. So we're going to go over the second part of the mental afflictions and other things that appear in the reading slash homework. And then if we can, at the end, we're going to leave some time for questions. It just depends on the timing. I don't know exactly how long it's going to take. Um, so, oh, just so you know, who am I and why am I qualified to teach this class? I'm a translator with Geshe Michael, if you don't know me. I've been translating for, I don't know, about 8 years or something. Um, my Tibetan is pretty good. I know a fair amount of Sanskrit and some Chinese as well. I love the Dharma and I love my teacher's teachings. And I finished my ECI courses a little while back. So I've done the work. So I did translate a book with Geshe Michael, and in that book we go over all the mental functions. So part of the mental functions are the mental afflictions that we'll be talking about today. So I thought we could use the chart from my book as a means to talk about our subject matter today, because it was fun to make. It's all laid out, and it's a good advertisement for my book, The Golden Key. So here we go. So as a brief review, I wasn't there, but if you did the last class, you would have done the six root negative emotions. And here they are: ignorant liking, ignorant disliking, pride, misunderstanding, doubt, and wrong view. All right, which actually in Tibetan they just call views, because as you are probably aware as well, um, this sixth one comprises five things, which are five different views. Um, I won't go over them now. I'm sure you spoke about them, and if I start getting into that, I'll probably run out of time. Um, so yeah, those are the six root negative emotions, also called mental afflictions. But Geshe likes to say negative emotions these days, so but they both mean the same thing, okay? It's klesha in Sanskrit. And that's significant. Klesha means something that it just means something that bothers the mind of the person who's having it, right? And that's what we're discussing. Um, and why is this important? Because I mean, basically the goal of half of the goal of Buddhism is to get over these problems. You know, things that are either bothering you internally or problems in general that are bothering you externally, like in your life. So the other half is the misunderstanding or lack of wisdom that is creating those problems in the first place. But you got to do both, okay? If you have wisdom and you're still bothered, that would be that fun. So, and if the opposite, if you're not bothered and have no wisdom or don't have the enough wisdom, neither would that. So that's what we're discussing. Those are the six. And now we're going to go on to the 20, they call them secondary mental afflictions or negative emotions. Um, in the Tibetan, say Nyeyun. I can't hear you saying it, but you should try. It's a good seed. Nyeyun. Um, so Nye is short for Nyewa, and Nyun is short for Nyungmong. And it means those negative emotions which are close to or um, secondary to the root ones. Okay, Nyewa literally means close, and so it just we would just say secondary in English, right? Like the sub ones, the ones that kind of come from the main ones, you could even say. And so we're gonna discuss those right now. By the way, if you have questions, you can put them in the chat. I will try to look at the chat if I can. If I don't, we'll try to get to it at the end, okay? So they say the secondary negative emotions come from the primary ones. And the first the first few, it's pretty obvious. So one of the main negative emotions is called ignorant disliking. Some people, in other translations, people call it, they'll just call it disliking, or they'll call it mm, anger or something like that. And so all these translations that me and Geshe picked when we chose the English are picked very particularly because of some of the nuances involved. So choa is our first, it's anger, and it comes from kung tro. And if you look at the Tibetan, both have tro in the name, and they both mean some kind of anger, rage, upset, those sorts of things. The difference is the root negative emotion um, is at the core of our misunderstanding and how we interact and push things away because we uh, don't understand their nature. So because we don't understand things are coming from us, we push things away in the hopes that we don't have to deal with it because it bothers us. It gives us a klesha. Um, So anger instead is a little more derivative, meaning it comes from that. It's just kind of the feeling of rage or anger. It's a little it's more basic in that sense. It's not the core thing. Um, okay, so next we have kunzin in Tibetan, and that's resentment. And kunzin, the zin in this word means to like hold something. So it's literally you're holding on to something from before, and it's like a fire or something, like a cinder inside of you that just slowly burns. And so you're not outright angry, but on a deeper level, you have a mm, like a low level like anger going on over long periods of time. Mm, so that's kunzin, that's resentment. Some of these are more obvious, so I won't go into them too deeply, but you can ask questions about them later if you need to. Next is chaba. Actually, let me skip to tikpa. Tikpa is irritation. It's more related to the first two, so I'll discuss it now. So irritation is like anger as well, but it's more, again, like low level. This one I'm like a master at, so I can teach a whole course on it. It means you're not yelling, you're not screaming at somebody, you're not freaking out, but on some level, you're just slightly perturbed, slightly annoyed, um, slight dislike for what's happening around you or towards some object, usually a person. Um, and yeah, and this one eventually can trigger you to be harsh or say something. So even though it's low level, after some time, it will trigger some kind of reaction. Okay, and now we'll go back to Chaba. Chaba is famous as a negative emotion, hiding your faults. It's famous in the monasteries as something to avoid. It's famous amongst husbands and wives too, okay? I feel like a lot of our time with people close to us can be spent, can be wasted in Chaba because we're constantly trying to hide what's going on inside of us as a way to protect ourselves. And this can lead to a lot of problems down the line because basically, if you are constantly hiding your problems, your faults, um, it's very difficult to deal with them. So, in basically, there's an old tradition that every 2 weeks you just hang out with your friends and tell them all the bad stuff you did and all the problems you have. And if you do something like that, find people that you trust who are gonna be discreet and aren't gonna, you know, tell everybody about what you told them. But the basic idea is just letting it out, and then um as a way to heal it, as a way to move past it, as a way to recognize it so it doesn't hide in your subconscious, in your mind, and create problems later. All right. Um, I'm really not used to class being this quiet. I'm used to students yelling things. I might have to start calling on people so I feel more comfortable. Um, and I hope I'm not going too fast with the translators. I never talk this slow. Okay. I'm conscious of the time as well. Okay, next is jealousy, um, which in Tibetan is trakto. Now jealousy in a way is a little more complicated than some of the other um secondary mental afflictions, negative emotions, but in a way it's simple. You basically are mad somebody has something that you want. I mean, basically. So in a sense, it's a type of anger. Um, and again, it's a hidden type of anger, but with not too much nudging, it comes out. Um, and this one I'm not that good at. I'm not that good at jealousy. For whatever reason, I got spared this one in this life. All right. But I've met people who talk about feeling jealous like more often and how it's difficult for them. And I see it, and um I see the challenges that it brings up for them. And one of the main things with jealousy is if you're on any kind of bodhisattva path or you know, path of the greater way where you're pledged your life to help people get everything they want. If you're jealous of people and angry at people for getting what they want, it kind of automatically negates the very thing that you're pledging to do. So that's super problematic. And it's one of my teachers said to me once, it's hard being half a bodhisattva. Um, Meaning if you're trying to be a bodhisattva, it's a little more difficult um while you're learning because you're half, that selfish person that you started out as, or what have you. So, you know, and with all these things, there's a secondary um mental affliction, which is judging yourself for having a negative emotion, which is really not helpful. It's not on the list, okay? But it's something I see people struggle with all the time. And it's worse amongst good people, okay? Because they're trying to be good, they're trying to help. But for some reason, people trying to be good sometimes aren't that good to themselves. So, it's something to be careful with. So don't get like that. It's just a practice, okay? Um, okay, so that's jealousy. So next is stinginess. Is serna in Tibetan. Stinginess, it's gonna make it very difficult but stinginess just means not giving. And it doesn't mean never giving, or not giving everything you own. Okay, that's not stinginess. You probably need your house, you probably need your car, you probably need some money. Okay. I've given away a lot in the past and regretted it. Okay, that's another problem. So you have to be an intelligent bodhisattva, okay? You have to give and give from your heart, but don't give in such a way that you're going to be mad about it later, okay? They say that's worse. That's like worse than not doing it in the first place. But stinginess is goes against the first perfection, which is the perfection of giving, the perfection of generosity, of which there's four kinds, and that's a whole discussion. But basically, you want to give when you can, as much you can, when it's appropriate. All right. And that's basically the first perfection. And we're going to discuss that a little bit at the end of class because there's a talk about it in this section of the book around the perfection of giving and what that means. All right. Any questions so far? Am I going too fast? No? Okay. This is like quarter speed for me. All right. I can slow down more if you need to too. I don't know if we'll finish though. Okay, so the next two go together usually in Tibetan. If you come into mixed nuts, Xuanzang's Tower these days or my translation classes, I will deluge you with Tibetan words. Um, Here I'm just teaching you some just as seeds. So these two, Yu and Yo, they're so closely linked that in Tibetans they just say Gyuyo or Yogyu, Yogyu. Um, and sometimes it's hard to tease apart which means which. So I had to kind of use a fancy English word for the second one because they both kind of mean the same thing. Um, we're very close. Gyu is famous because it's Maya in Sanskrit, which is the illusion, um, that many traditions talk about, and of course Buddhism as well. So Gyu means to create some kind of falsity, fabrication, deceit. It's like conning somebody or something. That's that's colloquial English, right? Like creating some kind of false image of yourself. Um, so it is deceit, but it's more conning. But we couldn't put conning in our translation, so we put deceit. And yo is this word dissembling. Okay, no one uses this word. I had to use it. The only place I've ever really seen this word is in Arthur Miller's The Crucible, which is a famous play about the Salem witch trials in seventh grade. Okay. Um, and it means to act in like a hypocritical way. So it's not exactly acting fake or deceitful, but it's kind of not doing what you say you're doing or something like that. They're subtle. They both mean like tricking somebody or not being real or acting fake. So you get the idea. So next is gyakpa. Uh, oh, and that's arrogance. So arrogance is somewhat related to anger as well. If you've noticed, the most of these that are related to the main negative emotions is the ignorant disliking. Um, and and remember, these can be towards yourself too, by the way, okay? Um, so having these towards yourself um is also an issue. So don't forget that because when you say to when you're having bodhicitta, that also includes you, okay? Not not everyone else, not just everyone else. It's you and everyone else. So Gyakpa is like a kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a mix between pride and anger or something like that. Um, where the Tibetan Gyak means literally means like fat or something, meaning like in English we say like full of yourself, like you're so full, like um, like you're so full of yourself. you care more mostly about what you think and say and things of that nature. So that's arrogance. Um, I'm good at that one too, by the way. So next is Nampartsewa. Uh, if for the yoga practitioners in the audience, Nampartsewa is the Tibetan for hinsa, and many of you know hinsa, I'm sure, from ahimsa. So ahimsa means to act non-violently, or it can mean compassionately too. It literally means not hurting people, right? Ahimsa. Hin means to hit somebody, literally. It's pretty much the first thing your mom has to teach you, right? I mean, this and sharing, right? Share your toys. Don't hit your friend in the head. Um, I have a joke, which I think is funny, which is the yamas and niyamas in yoga, the rules of conduct are basically everything you learn in kindergarten, okay? Don't lie, share your toys, don't hit your friend in the head, don't touch people in a way they don't like. Uh, did I miss one? I missed one. But you get the idea. Um, so this is just hinsa, nampartsewa in Tibetan. And you can translate it as violence or something. But since it's a mental function, it has to be violent feelings or violent intent. I might have to speed up a little bit, translators. So next fine. We won't finish though. Uh so next is I'm watching your face, Roxana. So next is Nota Mepa, and this is shamelessness. And this is very important. So in the Abhidharma Kosha, so we're not studying Abhidharma school right now. Master Shantideva is considered higher middle way. Um, who was Master Shantideva's teacher, by the way? Someone answer in the chat. Anyone? Nobody? Manjushri was Master Shantideva's teacher. Okay. So Master Shantideva is in the highest school. He's got taught by Manjushri when he was young, when he was a young prince, right? Um, so but in the Abhidharma school, the next two are considered key to doing good things. So basically, if you have Ngotsamepa, if you have shamelessness, you can do anything. But if you have the opposite, which is shame, which means when you think of yourself, you think, I would never do that to somebody, or how could I ever do that to somebody? Shame has other connotations in English. We're not talking about those. There's negative kinds of shame, and that's a long discussion, and you should think about that. But here we're just talking about the feeling of that arises in you when you would go to do something bad and you'd be like, oh my God, I could never do that to somebody, right? So that's shame. Shamelessness is the opposite, where you don't have that conception and you're completely unhinged, we say in English. Um, the next is kind of the opposite in the sense of you think um you consider if someone you like regard or have high, esteem for was there, would you do it? You know? And we have a saying in our, high in Judeo-Christian country, which is, kind of like, what would Jesus do? you know? And it's kind of like that. I like to think, if Geshe Michael was here, would I do this? And obviously there's caveats, right? But the basic idea is um, if someone you highly respected and basically looked up to or wanted to be like was present, would you engage in that activity? And that's called in the positive, it's consideration. In the negative, it's lack of consideration. Mepa means not in Tibetan. So not so mepa, not. Trail mepa, not. Okay, so you don't have consideration. That's why it's negative. Next is mukba. Um, this is just in someone's book recently. Whose book? I forget whose book. We are translating 24 books right now. Um, and sometimes I forget which one I'm thinking of, but because I mukba about it. So mukba is the kind of confusion. It's akin to words for like darkness. So mukba or like even like fogginess. I think mukba can mean fog. Uh, so in English we say, wow, they're out of it. All right. And it can, by the way, these things, all the reason we talk about all these things is because they destroy your practice. A long time ago, I read Light on Yoga by Master Iyengar, and that book is basically a commentary on the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. That's why it's called Light on Yoga, because that's what Hatha Yoga Pradipika means, the lamp or the light on yoga. And he goes over a bunch of the mental afflictions, a bunch of the negative emotions in that book. And, I read it in 2009, and I thought it was amazing. But just about a few months ago, I was like, oh, all those things listed are the things that stop you from succeeding in your practice. So these things aren't just a list of things that happen in your mind that aren't good. But when you have these things, these mental functions, these negative emotions, you can't practice. You can't think straight. So mukba is that. If you can't think straight, it's very hard to get teachings. It's very hard to teach. It's very hard to learn in general, um, and other issues. So that's mukba. Um, so next is gyurpa. It shouldn't be pronounced gyurpa for my Tibetan students in the audience, but it is. You don't say gupa, you say gyurpa. Um, and that means some kind of wildness or craziness or restlessness. Um, a an ape in Tibetan is called a migyu, someone that like a mi means human, so like something that looks like a human but is wild. Um, in meditation, this is the tendency to think about lunch, all right? Think about what's going to happen next, usually, or think about what's not your meditation object, okay? But here it just means like a kind of wildness or restlessness or inability to calm the mind to a level where it can focus. And some people have this. For some people, it's even more like there's things like ADHD and things like that where people need to get medication. Um, so of course, any medical issues you have in these terms, see your doctor or what have you. Um, Therapy and those things can help in certain cases as well. The idea being you want to bring your mind, in some sustainable way where you can focus and think without huge amounts of distraction or restlessness. Otherwise, again, It's harder to learn. It's harder to think. Um, and meditation can help too. So please meditate as well. Okay, so next is Madepa, which is lack of faith, right? So Depa is faith. It's very famous as something you need to take you, um, to the highest accomplishments in this practice. So when you have a lack of faith, I mean, it can come in many shades and many degrees. But basically, if you don't have like real faith in these practices or these teachings, you won't practice. Excuse me, or it'll be very difficult to practice. Um, I don't know what happened. I don't know what I did last life. Um, Joe was a hard worker, okay? He was very busy in my last life. I'm lazy in this life, all right? But last life, um, I worked really hard or something because when I was young, I was blessed with some really cool experiences, not seeing emptiness or anything. But it was enough where I was like, wow, there's something else out there. There's more to life. There's something deeper, And so I I I have a lot of mental afflictions, but lack of faith is not one of them. I get to have this baseline faith, and when you have it, it's so much easier to practice. Because when you have this kind of doubt in the back of your mind, and there's good kinds of doubt, right? But if you have a kind of doubt in the back of your mind all the time, it's like you're trying to fill a balloon, but there's a leak in it, like a slow leak, and it never fills all the way, or it quickly deflates. Um, but if you noticed my teacher, Geshe, practice, um, he never stops. He keeps going because you know, he doesn't have a certain kind of doubt anymore. So he knows just keep going. There's nothing else to be done. Of course, you should break and rest as well, but that's the idea. All right, that's lack of faith. Um, and I'll tell you something else, um, which is once you get on Jorlam, which is the second of the five paths, um, to Buddhahood, um, once you get to Jorlam, which is called the path of preparation, what are you preparing for on the path of preparation? Anybody? Nobody? All right. Oh, good. Jackie Brandeis. I don't know you. Yes, correct, correct, correct. Good. Yeah. So, path of preparation is like packing your bags to go camping or something. Um, and the first thing they say you need is faith. They call it the five powers, right? Shraddha in Sanskrit. And it's true because you're going in blind, all right? No one, you might, if you know one person that has ever seen emptiness directly, you are beyond blessed, right? But no one talks about this thing. No one believes it. No one thinks it can happen. No one has seen it. You have no idea. Okay. So you need faith and a lot of logic, okay, to get to the point where you're like, oh, this is real. I'm going to practice really hard. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to study. I'm going to go to class at 6 in the morning. Um, I'm going to plant seeds and everything else that needs to happen. That's all the preparations that go into it. And so faith is very important in a sense, with logic, okay? It doesn't have to be blind faith. All right, cool. So next is Lelo. Um, it's the Tibetan word that people tend to remember. I don't know. I guess it's straight to the point, Laylo. And it kind of sounds like what it is to like, isn't there a song? Oh no, that's Layla. Layla. No. Anyway, like Laylo means to not want to do anything. All right. And if you're here right now, this is probably not your problem, okay? And people in our group tend to have the opposite problem, which is they don't know how to relax. All right, we call it type A in in uh in American English. I'm looking at you, Roxana. Uh, where you need to chill out a little bit because eventually, if you don't, you're gonna burn out. And that's a whole other problem. So Lalo is not resting. You need to rest. You need to sleep. You need to eat. Um, you need to take care of your body, however that is for you, exercising, etc. But Lalo is not doing the things you need to do, whatever they are. Here we're referring to um, your practice, your Buddhist practice, your ACI practice, your etc. But in general, in this group, it's not really an issue. Um, I call myself lazy, but one of my teachers once, what did they say to me? I was, I had the honor of hanging out with them, and I said some joke about being lazy, and they looked me right in the eye, and they're like, "Word, no one thinks you're lazy." And I was like, oh. So, I joke about it, but it's not my real problem. All right. So next is Pakmepa. Um Pakmepa is an interesting word. I don't know if I have time to get into it, the details, but basically it's a um lack of mindfulness. So mindfulness is this huge buzzword these days, and I don't know where else, but definitely in America. Um and it's it you can just say awareness too. Although there's another word that's a little more like that, so you have to be careful. So Pakmepa is just taking care with or not taking care of how you act, what you say, and you need to. One of my teachers told me about the pause, and one of the biggest things to stopping mental afflictions, negative emotions, is in your mind having about 1 millisecond of which you don't react when someone says something and in that millisecond, you're like, wait, I have a choice, you know? And so being careful, um, which is called pak yi, which is the opposite of pak mepa, um, being careful, being mindful, the bigger you can make that pause, the better chance you have of either not planting a bad seed or planting a good one. So, um, carelessness can ruin your life. One slight mistake can ruin your life or make it very difficult. So, this is a big one in a certain sense, um, especially when you deal with people's bodies, people's feelings, things like that. In certain situations, you want to be more delicate. Um, I have a tendency not to be delicate with people. But I'm more than I've ever been, which many of you might be surprised to hear. But I try to just slow down and sometimes just not say anything if I feel like I can't be careful. Okay. So my version of carefulness sometimes is just backing off altogether, which is a kind of carefulness, you know. And now I have a baby in my life, so um, I'm learning to be a lot more careful. although I'm still crazy. All right. Next is forgetfulness, Chene. Um, the most famous use of this word and having this negative emotion is during meditation. It's the first, wait, first or second? Second problem? Anyway, um, it's the basically the first problem meditation. Well, once you actually meditate, it's the first problem, right? So I think it's the second problem. Uh, yeah. Um, yeah. The first is laziness, totally. First is lay low, which has four solutions. And then it's forgetting the thing your teacher told you to meditate on, which just means you lose the object while you're meditating. And when I first started meditating, I remember getting up and then realizing that I had forgotten that I was meditating at all. So like that. But also in general forgetfulness, right? So to a degree, these practices require us to have a fair memory. And if we have a harder time to remember things, um, a very wise person, uh, named Tim Lowenhaupt, once told me, the solution is repetition, okay? If you have a harder time learning something, you just have to repeat it more times. And this is definitely true if you're studying Tibetan. Wink, wink, hint, hint. Um, Students, where you have to study more, okay? And some people have better memories, so you have to just practice more. Which is annoying, and then you plant seeds and it goes away and you have an amazing memory and no one knows why, and it just happens. All right. Next, we have lack of awareness. Is everyone bored? Is everyone having a good time? I'm just going through the whole list. Um, I usually make a lot more jokes in class, but I'm hard enough to translate already. So I hope everyone's having fun. And I usually interact more. It's very quiet for me. Um, so next is lack of awareness. So this is Sheishin. Sheishin is used again. This one is used in meditation, and uh, Holy Geshe translates it as alarm mind, Sheishin. So this is lack of alarm mind, and it means a buzzer goes off in your head when something's off, and this is very helpful. Okay, and it's excuse me, the people that I know that don't seem to have this as strong, they don't have that alarm, they have a lack of awareness, they get themselves in trouble pretty often, okay? I also have 13-year-olds, all right? Um, and I feel like this is a big teenage problem. Not as much with them because their mother's amazing and taught them all kinds of emotional awareness and stuff. But with other 13-year-olds, um, they just blurt things out. They just say things. They just do things. And then they have all these issues that happen, right? And even later, you'd be like, why'd you do that? And they're like, I don't know. It just happened. And if you have this Station, it's very hard for that to happen because a little alarm goes off. And when that alarm goes off, you can kick in everything else. You can actually think and assess the situation before you respond, before you act, um, before you jump in, right? There's a saying in English by the famous author Alexander Pope. Um, Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Okay? Roxana, fools rush in where angels fear to tread, fear to walk, fear to. Meaning, have that awareness, have that alarm before you throw yourself into the fire. All right. I have 40 minutes left. I think we'll be on time. I don't know if you guys take a break in this class, but I'm not. So yeah, if you need a break, tell me. I don't know. No? Okay, I'm great at torture. Um, so that's no problem. Thanks, Tim. So last is distraction. Um, and this is a huge problem in our culture these days, okay? We have cell phones, we have computers, we have all these devices, and it is very easy to get distracted these days. Um, which to things that seem more important. Okay, I'm 44. Um, I'm turning 45 in a month. Um, if you want to give me a gift, I can tell you my PayPal. That's not a hint. That's directly telling you to give me stuff. I'm joking. You don't have to give me anything. But um uh and I grew up in the 90s, okay? We had TV, which was distracting enough, but mostly I had to go outside and hang out with people and look them in the eye when and just sit there half the time. So the level of distraction that people have now is incredible. And at 44, I would say use your time wisely. It goes by like that. All right? Find something amazing that you love that's going to benefit you and others and just do it, 44 years went by like that. And even if you do something meaningless, or if you do something meaningful, it will go by just as fast. So do something meaningful. And again, this doesn't mean I have a stupid video game I play on my phone, okay? I play it for like 12 minutes a day or something, okay? It's stupid. But it's designed to be stupid. It's not dharma. It's not me helping three children. It's not me, you know, meditating or trying to see emptiness or something. It's just supposed to be dumb. It's good to have something like that in your life. Geshe is watching Korean soap operas, supposedly. He probably isn't really, by the way, but he jokes about it, or the Super Bowl was last week or something. Like, yeah, sit there for 2 hours and eat nachos with your familia, right? It's okay to do stupid stuff once in a while, but don't let it take over your life, all right? Um, because that's a waste of your life, and this life is precious, extremely. All right. Those are the 20 secondary negative emotions. Nyun. I am going to the rest of the homework so you can do your homework. Are there any questions? I am not an Aries. Never say that. I'm a Pisces. I'm the very last day of Pisces. I do have some Aries in me. All right, I'm going to continue. I'm going to put the homework on the screen. Yeah, Sheishin Minpa is a lack of awareness. Yeah, to Anastasia, who just asked. I'm joking, Jackie. It's okay. All right. I'm gonna put the homework on the screen to make sure I get through it because I'm my llama student and we like tangents. All right. Here we go. All right. And I'll probably, it seems like we'll have time for questions at the end. Let's see. Oof, maybe not. We'll see. So, question number two is about Geshe, who's an amazing, amazing, amazing teacher. Okay, and he's he he's commenting on Master Shantideva, which is um your 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 commentary, your text, and he asked, what does Geshe have to say about the idea that a strong love for the path and a hatred for your mental afflictions are mental afflictions themselves? So this is a famous question. Um, and again, in the Abhidharma Kosha, it says the only time it's okay to be angry is to be angry at your mental afflictions. Like basically being having this strong determination, which you could call like a mental affliction or a negative emotion, um, to move forward on the path, it's a tool, okay? And we say it's like a boat, right? Paro to chimpa, go to the other side. To get to the other side, you need a boat. But it's like if you want to go to Kyoto, okay? If you're in California and you want to take a boat to Kyoto for Tim's upcoming Steps on the Path, March 19th to March 23rd. If you want to if you want to take a boat there, I think Hasso's going in a boat, right, Tim? If you want to take a boat there, once you get to Kyoto, you got to get out of the boat, all right? And this is like that. If you don't get out of the boat, you're not gonna get to the teaching, right? Um, this is like that. You use this hatred for your mental afflictions to get rid of them. It's not like real hatred. You're not like, I hate mental afflictions or something like that. No, it's not like that. You're just like, no, they're ruining my life daily. Okay. Every day I'm having mental afflictions. This ruins your life. They ruin everyone else's life. They're stupid. They suck. I want to get rid of them. Go away. I'll do anything to get rid of them. That will actually get rid of them, right? And the things that will get rid of them are love and wisdom, right? Which is the opposite of hatred. So you have a hatred for mental afflictions, which encourages you to act lovingly. All right. And then once you get rid of them, you don't need that anymore. You let the boat drift off, okay? You get on the bullet train, right? There's a lot of those in Japan, right? And then that's it. I'm not gonna, well, should I? I'll read the answer for verbatim for a blessing because it's my Lama's words, okay? He says that because they are elements of the path itself, the path which helps you destroy the mental afflictions, they cannot be considered a part of the group of objects which must be eliminated from the mind. He further says that those commentaries which explain that these two attitudes must be eliminated later are only referring to the fact that once the mental afflictions have been eliminated, these two will no longer function in the fight against the mental afflictions. Got it? That's in the answer key. You can review that. By the way, I would like to thank Tim Law gave me this class because he believes in my level of scholarship. But I know the real reason is he's like, that word, you're so afflicted all the time. Maybe I can help him a little bit. Maybe he'll learn something finally. Thanks, Tim. Very skillful. Why would you do something like that, Tim? Because you have worse mental afflictions than me.
All right, dude. You're fired.
He's just planting seeds. Anyway, question 3. I'm joking. Calling Tim out, I would never. Why is it important that the continued existence of the mental afflictions depends on a misperception? Okay. All your problems are based on a misperception. All right? Um, you're watching a movie and there's a killer on the screen and you run out of the theater. Okay? That's your life. Period. You're projecting a world like a movie. Okay, is it exactly like a movie? No. Why? Because a movie mostly only has sight and sound. All right? Your movie has touch too, and smell and taste. All right? It also has a lot of things going on in your head, right? Your thoughts. But essentially, you're doing this all day, about 65 times a finger snap. Um, and you think this is happening all day. And because of that, you yell at people, or want things that are bad for you, or do bad things to get things that are good for you, creating bad things, or creating that thing that you wanted that was good for you to become bad. All right. So, this is the root of the issue. Um, and the cure is wisdom. All right. And it's not that complicated. It's the pen. That's it. You think the pen thing is silly. You heard it 3,000 times. You don't want to hear it again. I won't bother you with it. But it's not silly. It's the greatest teaching ever, um, spoken in the clearest terms. And if you haven't seen emptiness directly, you still need the teaching somewhat. And it's that the pen's coming from you. All your problems are. Tim's coming from me. My my mental afflictions are coming from me, right? And the objects which seem to trigger it as well, which we're about to talk about right now. Am I still talking slow enough, Roxana? Ah, how can you get passionate and teach and talk slow at the same time? I'm not sure. This is a skill I do not have. Um, anyway. Plus, I'm from New York and Philadelphia. We talk extremely fast and we curse a lot too. All right. All right. If anyone ever hung out with me. Question 4. Wait, let me read this as a blessing. Because the mental afflictions are rooted in a misperception, they can be eradicated completely as the misperception is corrected by the eye of wisdom, and then they will never be able to return. All right, that's nirvana. One by one, getting rid of your mental afflictions, your negative emotions, by seeing emptiness directly. And previous to that, by understanding emptiness intellectually, right? While you're having a deep intellectual understanding of emptiness, the pen, the lack of a pen that doesn't come from you, um, you can not have a mental affliction. You can't have a negative emotion at that moment. Okay, you can go like this really fast though. wisdom annoyed, wisdom annoyed, wisdom annoyed, wisdom annoyed. All right. I'm also good at that. All right, here we go. Number 4. State 3 reasons why the mental afflictions, the negative emotions, have no place else to go once they are eliminated from the mind. All right, this is something I teach my 13-year-olds. I have twins, by the way, if you're wondering why I have two 13-year-olds. And I've been teaching them for about 5 years, and they get it now, and it's amazing, okay? They used to always say, they're making me feel sad. They're making me angry. They're they're making me annoyed. Um, and I'm like, no one's making you any feeling ever, okay? Um, if I could, I would make you happy right now, right? Um, you can't make an 8-year-old anything, okay? Or anyone else for that fact, um, for that, my brain just did something, or anyone else, right? Or anything else. Um, so this is basically that. Um, you can't, not the thing itself, the object which is triggering your mental affliction, your negative emotion, right? Um, and there's 6 basic objects, right? There's things you see, things you um touch, things you smell, things you hear, um, things you taste, and things you think about, right? So none of them in of themselves can make you annoyed, right? And 1 second proof. If they could make you annoyed every time you saw them, they would make you annoyed. They wouldn't make you annoyed sometimes, and sometimes make you happy. Okay, done. Next. Well, what's left? If it's not the thing, well, maybe it's my eyeball itself, right? That's seeing the thing, right? Like me, I have a super sensitive nose. I can smell all kinds of things you don't want to know. All right. Um, and sometimes it's annoying. Okay. It's annoying to smell things really strongly and etc. But it's not annoying because of the thing. Because if it was, when other people smelled them, they would be like, that's annoying. So it's not the fact that my nose is sensitive that's making me annoyed. It's the fact that I'm annoyed that's making me annoyed, right? Or whatever mental affliction, negative emotion I'm having. So it can't be the senses, right? Because they wouldn't think it was good, or their nose would be just as strong as mine self-existently, which it's not. Or even if it was as strong, some people think those things smell good, even though it's as strong. All right. Um, and there's nothing else essentially, okay? So it has to be you. All right, it has to be your head, um, your mind. And so you have to study and karma and emptiness, change how you act, change how you treat people, and it will show up differently. All right? I'm waiting for the day when I think chemical shampoo smells good. Still working on it. All right. So next, it's we're going to review the 6 perfections. And I feel like you already know this. Maybe a couple of you don't, so I am going to review it, but I'm not going to go crazy about it because we have it many times in the ACI courses. My nutrition teacher, who's Buddhist, taught me them 20 years ago. Um, and it was very beautiful at the time, and it still is. So the 6 perfections, perfection in Tibetan is paro tu chinpa. Say paro tu chinpa. Yeah, Parol means the other side. To means uh, preposition, towards or over. And chin means went. All right. So paro to chimba literally means went all the way, gone to the other side. Um, eh, but it's a trick, right? Even though it's went, it's the thing that makes you went. Right? You never heard English like that because this isn't a common concept in English. So Geshe had to make up a new word, perfectionizer, right? It's the six things that you'll have perfectly when you're perfect, but until you're perfect, it's the six things that make you perfect. You got that, Roxana? So we say perfectionizer. I know she's trying to concentrate and I'm interrupting her. All right. So here are the six. They are giving, right? The perfection of giving. Um, they are ethics. Here's a Tibetan, all right? Chinpa's giving. Ethics is sultrim. They are tsupa. Say tsupa, all right? Tsupa. Don't say tsopa. There's a famous lama who's taught millions of people, and people call him Lama Tsopa, and that's not his name. Okay, obviously not everyone knows Tibetan, you're excused, it doesn't matter, but Tsopa means a spy or like a double agent. Okay. Okay. So you probably don't want to call your holy lama spy, okay? It's Lama Tsupa, which means the one who mastered patience. Okay. And if you're human, the very concept of being able to master patience is beyond even thinking about. And that's the third perfection, mastering patience. Um, I pray for this day. Every day I'm like, please, perfection of patience. Oh my God, my life would be so much different if I wasn't full of rage all the time. Next is Tundru. It means joyful effort. All right. It You can some cases translate it as effort, but it doesn't mean that here. It doesn't mean who's best at, I don't know, you know, building a house or throwing rocks or something. Um, it means to do to happily do good things for others. All right. And I have a trick for this. All right. Pick something you like to do and do that for others. All right. You can try it the other way. I used to. And I always had we call lung like some kind of chi disturbance. Like my heart was like, all right. And I was like, why isn't this working? And my friends, my holy amazing friends were like, but don't you hate doing that? I'm like, yeah. Tell me more. I'm like, well, if you hate doing it, it's probably gonna be hard to do. I'm like, okay. I'm willing to subscribe to your newsletter. Can you give me more information? They're like, well, why don't you do something you like, word? I'm like, like, eh? And so now I just teach translation, okay? I love translating. I love bothering people with the languages I learn. So why not do it for a living? All right. And people actually like my classes, right, Roxana? I paid her to say that. Uh, and uh, and it's fun and it's joyful effort and it's helping a lot of people, I think. So That's my advice. Personal advice is from word. Next is samten, which is concentration. All right. And you have to have this. If you can't concentrate, by the way, you can't do anything. You can't accomplish anything. That's why things like ADHD are such a problem. If people have a difficult time concentrating, it's difficult to accomplish anything, be it dharma or spiritual things or worldly things, right? Try to have a job and you can't concentrate. Try to have children, you can't concentrate. Try to watch a movie and you can't concentrate, right? So this is key. Um, and on a higher level, you have to be able to meditate on a high level to see emptiness directly and other high level realizations that are necessary for Buddhahood. And so next is Sharab, which is wisdom. Um, and this is the perfection of wisdom. These are all perfections, by the way. So this means perfect understanding of the pen such that you can do all the other ones to their highest degree. So this one is actually in all of them in a way, to the degree you are capable at the time you are practicing. Perfectionizer, right? All right. Yeah, Paratuchimpa, right? Paratuchinche, doing those things. All right, cool. I'm actually on time. That's weird. Mm, okay, number 6. I'm leaving sometime at the end for questions. I hope you have some, or we can just sit in awkward silence together too. 6, does the perfection of giving depend on its external perfection? Why or why not? Oh, I kind of was just talking about this. Um, I'm going to read the answer here because it's beautiful, and then I'll discuss. It does not depend on its external perfection because we can see that there are still people in the world who are afflicted by poverty. If removing all beings' poverty were the essence of the perfection of giving, then the enlightened beings of the past cannot have perfected giving. Therefore, the perfection of giving is the perfection of the willingness to give, which is also expressed to the ultimate of one's current ability. Exactly. Um, so am I practicing the perfection of patience then when I'm not being patient? Maybe. Um, yeah. So it's the willingness. Okay, I have children, a holy partner, house, car, um, I have to buy food, um, 2 dogs, um, 24 students, uh, extended family who ask me for things sometimes, even though I try to hide from them like that. I have responsibilities. And so I can't give all my money away to anyone who's like, I need money, but I can give some. But in my heart, I can want to give all my money, or I can want them to have everything they ever needed, right? I don't want people to be poor. I've fought poverty my whole life. Okay. I've been an advocate for the poor since I was young, right? I don't want poor people in the world. I want people to have everything. There's people starving right now. You think I want that? Right? Um, but can I solve it like that? No. But I can start where I am. I can teach people where I'm at. I can give where I can, where it feels appropriate and helpful, and still be practicing the perfections. All right? Because guess what? Even Buddhas are restricted by karma, right? If you don't have the karma, this teaching is stupid or annoying, or you're sleepy, or you're sleeping. Okay? So if you don't have the karma, you know, every one of your spouses, partners, boyfriends, girlfriends is a Buddha. Every one of them. But you can't see it because you don't have the karma, or you do see it, or I don't see you seeing it because I don't have the karma, right? So the perfection of giving or any of these perfections could never be the thing that happens to the people because that's up to them. But as soon as you're ready, you know, the Buddhas will appear. All right, they're waiting for you, by the way. They perfected patience, so they're not anxious about it. All right, question 7, and we'll have like 10 minutes for um Q&A. I avoid Q&A by to all my students who keep writing me messages on WhatsApp. Stop. Fine, you can, Roxana, but the rest stop. Ask me in class. Meh. Okay, 7. Name the external objects which need not be eliminated for each of the first 3 perfections to be perfect. I was joking. I need to practice patience, and my students are only second to my children in helping me. Yeah, needy individuals, beings who are being hurt, and irritating individuals. So, this is just what we discussed, all right? The fact that people are need things still doesn't mean you're not you haven't perfected giving, right? The fact that people are hurt doesn't mean you have been perfected ethics. Your ethics, not theirs. And the fact that there's still irritating people in the world doesn't mean you haven't perfected patience. It just means they won't be irritating to you. And then because they're not, you can teach them to how to have things that aren't irritating to them when they're ready, which might take a few lifetimes. Thanks, Pei-Ling. That's it. We have 7 minutes. This is your chance to help me practice patience. All right. Anne has a question. Hi, Anne. By the way, Anne, so Anne comes to my translation classes. But she never says anything. She just sits in the back with her camera off. I don't know what's going on her end, but she's always polite and kind. And then I called on her to talk in the mixed nuts to speak Tibetan. And it was like perfect. I was like, wait, what? So that's amazing. Congratulations, Anne. Yeah, keep going, okay? Just keep going. You have seeds. All right. Her question. What's the difference between the root misconception versus the first mental affliction of wrong view as misunderstanding? Hmm. I was trying to avoid this question actually. I thought of it too when I was reviewing the 6th root, and I was like, damn it, I hope no one asks. Um, as mental afflictions, as mental afflictions root from misconceptions, these two are like the fruits to me. Wrong view and misunderstanding belong to thought belief system. like aspects or quality of misconception. But the emotional system for belief can generate emotions. So is there any borderline to distinguish what shall be defined as emotion or thought belief in here? Whoa, I don't know about all that. It's in the chat, translators. Sorry if it was hard to hear me. Uh, Let me take it apart. So first, what's the difference between the root misconception versus the first mental fictions of wrong view and misunderstanding? Well, like I said, that Kawa means kind of views. The sixth mental affliction, root mental affliction, root negative emotion has 5 parts. Uh, I'm not going to go over them. It will take too much time, but basically, there are 5 different wrong views. And one of them is the wheel of life. By the way, I think someone asked this in the class in the original recording, as I recall. I haven't heard it in about 10 years, but as I recall, they asked the same question. Um, and I would say this because it's reiterated as one of the wrong views. The thing that drives the wheel of life, which we also call misunderstanding, which is um, I think it's a general misunderstanding as a mental affliction is one of and then it's more specific when they talk about the wrong views, the different kinds of misunderstanding. That's all. And both could be both. So, and emotion versus thought, feeling. Oh, thoughts happen basically thoughts happen in your mind and feelings happen in your body, essentially, if that helps you. Uh, okay, that's it. I hope that helps. You can ask me in one of my classes again. Okay, if it didn't help. Uh, Still confusing? Cook it. That's the way our lineage gets out of answering questions. Um, Someone raised their hand. Maria, I believe. Did you have a question? You want to ask it?
No, no, it's for me and for setup. Sorry.
For what?
It's for me information, just for setuping. It's translator.
Oh, you're good?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Lara Bordera in España. Bueno. She says, what's the difference between pride and arrogance? They're obviously related, right? Pride is, and by the way, there's like 9 kinds of pride, and there's a whole thing as well. Um, but basically, the root of the word pride in Tibetan is nga gyel, which is literally means I king, which puts yourself in front or acts like you're in front of everybody, or you're the best pretty much at everything, and you're awesome, and everyone else is not. Arrogance is similar, but it's kind of like with a touch more anger, kind of like, ugh, you know? I would say, but they're very closely related. Some of these are hard to distinguish, so I understand the question. Maria, I was wondering the same thing for you. I'm joking. Maria's awesome. I didn't even know you were here, Maria. I would have bothered you more. You hit all the way to the end. Smart. Mm, why is pride more serious than anger and jealousy? I don't know. I always considered why pride of all the mental afflictions was one of the 6 root ones. But it can stop you. If you have too much pride, you can't You can't listen to your teachers is the big thing. And if you can't listen to your teachers, you can't do it. You can't do this path. And by your teachers, I mean your wife or your husband. You can think, oh, Holy Lama, teach me. They're like, yeah, that's the reason we sent your husband. Who do you think knows the most about you and all the stuff you're doing bad every day? Geshe, who sees you once every 4 months at Alam Rim, or your spouse who has to deal with you every single day and all your problems. Yes. Anyway, that's the lesson of the day. Listen to your spouse. All right. It's a lesson for me too. I'm gonna go talk to my partner right now. What's the best antidote for jealousy? Love. All right. You're welcome, everybody. Yay! Keep studying, keep going, finish ACI, get the secret teachings, get enlightened, teach me. All right? I want to get out Sansara. I need help. All right, Tim, you got some things?
Well, thank you, Word, very much. Very much appreciate you teaching for today.